guys, I am Crisy Meschieri, probably a stranger to most of you, but that's okay. Today we're doing something a little bit different. It's called Member Takeover, where members of the guild get to take over the Instagram account and show you what life is like on our side of the world. Super exciting. So I live in Huntsville, Alabama, also known as Rocket City, that's the NASA shirt, where I work as a freelance graphic designer specializing in branding, advertising, and illustration. Yay! I've been a member of the guild for a couple months now, 6 months now, but I've been freelancing for over 6 years, which is pretty exciting, and I'm pretty used to working from home, so I'm going to show you some tips and tricks for that. A couple of slides are for you folks that like to skip over video. Don't blame you, I do the same. It's just some tips and tricks. Step 1, always wear pants. I know it sounds funny, but the first time I started freelancing, I had an old coworker tell me, always wear pants, and I started laughing. And he was like, no, seriously, always wear pants. I was like, oh, okay, sure. But now I get it, because you never know when you're gonna have to hop onto a Skype call really quick. And if you're not wearing pants, if you have to stand up, then all of a sudden everyone sees you wearing your pajama bottoms or your pajama shorts or hopefully some sort of something. Also, it puts you in the right frame of mind. Today I'm a little casual with my t-shirt. Usually I wear something a little bit more dressed up, like a sweater or something like that to make me feel like I'm at work versus I'm just sitting at my computer, and that really helps. And don't tell my clients this, because usually what I do is I have a backup sweater in my closet. So that way if I ever get called in for an emergency phone call, I can throw that on really quick and they don't know that I was wearing a t-shirt all day. I figured you guys might enjoy seeing my office. So this is where I work Monday through Friday, 8-ish to 5, because I am Central Time and I work with some East Coast folks. So that's a good time frame to work and also to be able to be a human and have time outside of work, which is really important as creatives. Here are all the tchotchkes on my desk. Ta-da! So you can see this is the chaos zone, because clients, when I Skype with them, they see that. And so it looks a lot neater than the chaos that's going on my desk. This is my wall art. I tried to do something very simple. This was actually my husband's idea. And the wall art is actually based off of my business card. So that's that one. That's that one. And then that's the back of both of the cards. These were made by going to Home Goods, I think it was, and just buying framed wall art and then painting it with my brand colors and then using a Silhouette Cameo to actually vinyl cut these designs out. And put them up and create something that's very different and very cheap way to fill up a wall without having to go too crazy. And it's very on brand because it is business card. So a really quick way to kind of decorate your office. And it's important when you're working from home to make sure you have a dedicated workspace. I've been here for a while, so my workspace is a little bit more established. But it just helps you stay focused and have one place where it is your workplace. You will be working from home for a long time. It doesn't hurt to invest in a nice chair that won't kill you. It's important because then when you're older or even younger and you have back problems, you don't hate yourself by the end of the day. Also, keep in mind your spine health and your wrists. Make sure that I have this squishy thing that helps my wrists not get hurt. And then I have my main screen elevated. You can actually see my reflection. So that way I'm not hunched over anything trying to stare at work, and I can sit up. And for those days where you just need extra encouragement, having notes from either significant others or from yourself letting you know that you can do this. That's one of my designs from forever ago. But just having that encouragement around you is really helpful to make sure you don't lose your mind and remind yourself that you can do it. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I'll run into creative block, which is super exciting because you've got a deadline and you have to do something and your brain doesn't want to work. So I've made this poster for myself to kind of shake through the block and at least get started making something. Because at the end of the day, you've got a deadline, you have to deliver, you have to do something. So Think Wrong, that is from this book, really, really helpful book to read. Get silly, just kind of think of, wouldn't it be funny if we did blank? Just get started. Don't wait for inspiration, just start writing ideas. And then if you can't, take a walk away, look at something completely different. My dog is all for going on walks. So just do something to break that mold. And since I've currently got some sensitive projects that I'm working on, I can't show you a to-do list from today, but this is one from back in July of last year. Every single morning I sit down and I rewrite my to-do list and then color code it. So red means it's something that is due really soon or due by end of day. I will number my project based off of what order I want to attack it during the day. Purple means that I finished it that day, so it's ready to look over and send to the client soon. Blue means it's something that I need to invoice. You can see here we're at the first of the month, so I got a few things that I had to invoice. And then there's no examples of it here, but green means that it's a proposal that I need to write up. And then orange is for meetings for the day or things that I have to do. In that case, I had to go pick up my friend. So having it color-coded is really helpful for me. And rewriting it every day, make sure that I don't forget anything because I cross-check to make sure I'm not missing any lines. And on days where it gets really crazy, I don't have any examples here, I would actually color code based off of time. So red would mean I had to do it first thing in the morning, blue would mean it could be later in the afternoon, and then green meant that it could be the next day. But having the color coding system is super helpful, especially as a designer. You think in colors, so organizing yourself in colors is really helpful. I can't keep a plant alive to save my life, so meet Ernie, the plushy plant that I can't kill. Yay! Then I also have a folder for each client. So each project that I work on, or each client that has a project that I'm working on gets its own folder. So this kind of gives you an idea of how many projects I have either currently open or recently closed or about to open. So a significant amount, but that's why having your to-do list is really helpful because you can cross-check and just really quickly pull up all the files without having to dig around very far. And if you're familiar with the Graphic Artist Guild, you've probably heard of this book. You probably heard of this book before the Graphic Artist Guild, which is how I actually heard about the Guild. But they put this book together every couple of years. They redo it and update it. You can see that I've actually coded my book so that we can quickly open it up. What's great about this is if you get a request for a project and you're not really sure how much to price for it, you can open up the book and chances are they've got pricing for it. So this one's all about package design. And so you look to see, is it going to be a major distribution, minor, or pre-released property? Hourly rates, are you a firm? Are you just consulting on something? So this is super handy, and they actually break down more than just the prices. So things to consider about, how to write it into your contract and stuff like that, which is super, super, super handy. What I love about the Graphic Artist Guild is not only do they have a whole bunch of resources, including webinars that are for free for members, but they also have member portfolios, which is super helpful if, let's say, you haven't had the time to set up your own online portfolio yet. As a member, they give you space on their website to actually showcase some of your artwork and some of your projects and include a bio and also list what state you're in. So that way, if folks in your state are trying to find local talent, they can come here and search by state and find you listed among your fellow guild members that are in that state. You can also list what disciplines or areas of expertise you have, and then your different online portfolios or places that they can find you. So it's super helpful. This is my dog, Snips. Hey, Snips. Are you sleepy? Yeah. This is what she does all day long. She just sleeps. Yeah. quick intro into how I go through a project from start to finish. I'm going to do it really quick. This was for a two-parter project, Rhythm, which is the restaurant, and then Mars Music Hall. These are part of the Von Braun Center downtown. They approached me to do the branding for these two entities, starting from the name up. And so to start off, we did a kickoff meeting where I sat down and asked them a zillion questions to really get an idea of the scope of the project and what they're hoping for, if they already have any ideas or anything like that, and try to get as much input from the client as possible before we get started. And based off of what I gather during the kickoff meeting, I will sit down and put together a custom proposal for the project. Like I said, in this case, it was 2-in-1, and I do refer back to the graphic artist handbook just to make sure that, the price point is reasonable for if it's a local, regional, or global client, how much is involved. In this case, it was 2 logos. So really factoring everything in and then referring back to the book to make sure that I'm not missing any steps or anything important along the way. Then I get started with the brainstorming process. In this case, we actually worked on the naming as well. So I do a lot of kind of word maps, mind maps. I use the thesaurus like it's my best friend and try to get down as many words related to the topics as possible. So these are just some examples of that part of the process, which is super fun. And it's kind of crazy to think about the brand as a word versus as a mark, which is what we typically think of. But it's important to make sure the name makes sense as a word before you actually go into making the brand. This is my favorite part of working on the brand once the name is selected. In this case, actually, the restaurant changed names halfway through the process, so we had to change that up. So you're going to see some of the older names on here. So originally it was going to be called Encore, but you can see that this is where the idea of the fork and music note was born. And then once the name got changed over to Rhythm down the road, we were able to make it work with the mark that I had created there. Mars Music Hall at one point was going to be called Rocket City Music Hall. So you can see those initial sketches there. And then in this case, actually, the restaurant changed names halfway through the process. So we had to change that up. So you're going to see some of the older names on here. So originally it was going to be called Encore, but you can see that this is where the idea of the fork and music note was born. And then once the name got changed over to Rhythm down the road, we were able to make it work with the mark that I had created there. Mars Music Hall at one point was going to be called Rocket City Music Hall. So you can see those initial sketches there. And then, I don't know, this is my favorite part where you just get to doodle and kind of let your brain explode all over the place and try to create a mark that's very unique and different and something that the brand will be able to own, both literally and figuratively and emotionally and all the E's out there. But yeah, and then once we're done with this step, we start digitizing it. This was actually my initial round in trying to make the Mars Music Hall logo. You can see how it started off there, and then over time started rounding it out a little bit more, finessing it, and making it a little bit more complex until we got somewhere closer to what became the final version here. Then for my own sake, I like going through the whole exercise of seeing how the brand works on a business card, just to make sure that I'm going through that exercise before we get down the road and realize that the logo doesn't work for whatever reason, in positive and reverse and different colors, putting together the color palette, making sure it works, because you can see here that's a completely different mark between this one and this one. It isn't just white all of a sudden. It's been knocked out entirely, and then the 2-color, 3-color version. So I put myself through this exercise just to make sure we've got it covered, and that once it's ready to go all the way to print or production, we are ready to start rolling. And once it's produced, released, and the client gives you the big thumbs up, you can actually put it up on your website, which is super exciting. Folks love to see kind of progress pictures to see where your ideas came from. So I'd like to include that. And just showing the brand living and breathing, because it is more than just a logo. It exists in some sort of context. So showing that both to your client and to anyone who visits your site is really helpful, just to make sure they understand the full vision of the brand. And this was my personal favorite little Easter egg sort of thing we did for the location. So yeah, thanks for tagging along today. Hopefully you got something out of that. If anything, you got to see how cluttered my desk is. Yay! But just keep trucking, keep being awesome, and you've got this. If you have any questions about working from home or working or whatever, feel free to message this Instagram account and someone will get an answer to you. Have a good one. Business cards. These are from Moo. They're really nice. They have that soft touch and a great way to kind of splurge on yourself as a designer. And then this is super silly. This was for a client gift a while ago. Yeah, a while ago. These might be expired by now.